something else that came from the book when we're talking about perspectives is that idea that if you look up in the stars, you are humbled because you realize that the problems you have are quite insignificant. They're significant to you, but in the grand scheme of things, they're very insignificant. And I also get that same perspective if I'm walking down a street and you can see through people's windows, not in a weird way, that sounds weird, but if you are walking through people, you can see, it's like you have it in your head, it's like, oh, everyone else has their own lives and they're just going around it as well. And they're just trying to do the best they can. And I think that's something I got from the book as well. That's what I tend to do, is just sometimes it kind of clicks in place that you're like, everyone else has their own problems and everyone else is trying to navigate through life as well. And that almost humbles you, and it also allows you to deal with your own insecurities better.
I think you're absolutely right. And I used to spend a lot of time when I was at school sort of age looking out the window from, the double-decker bus from the top and just seeing masses of people kind of just streaming through London, and just that sense of like, oh my gosh, every single one of those people has their own, I don't know, concerns and joys and worries and whatever. And I'll probably never know them. I'll never know their name. But to them, that their perspective on the world. Yeah, it's really fascinating. And it made me think of two things. One, just when astronauts go out into space and they say they look back at the Earth and suddenly everything that they were worried about falls away because the kind of vastness of our surroundings hits home. And then the other thing was that somebody got in touch with me a while ago about there's a girl in Ukraine, certainly she was doing this, and she was in the middle of everything she was dealing with, was documenting the really small things around her, like that she'd just go out for a very small walk and she'd see somebody with their dog and she'd kind of write that down. And somebody said, oh, this reminds me of what you're doing. And obviously my surroundings are not like hers, they're not comparable really. But it's interesting that she's using the same thing to make herself feel connected to her environment in a way that feels like she can cope with it. So I guess, it also made me think of, there's loads and loads of people on the earth. It's pretty intense. We've all got our own, thing we're trying to deal with. And sometimes we need to focus in a bit.